Good afternoon. Welcome to Learning Resources Tech Tools Workshop Series. Today we're going to be presenting Photoshop installation and basic functions. I will be presenting the installation portion, and Austin will be presenting the basic functions portion of the workshop. Thank you for coming. So we're going to get started with my portion. Today we're going to be presenting Learning Resources, Adobe Photoshop installation and basic functions. We're going to be installing the Adobe Creative Cloud, which is necessary in order to install the Adobe Photoshop application on your computer. Again, I will be showcasing the installation steps, and Austin will be showcasing the basic functions in Adobe Photoshop. Little introduction about myself. My name is Johnny Molina. I've been working for Miami-Dade College since 2013. I graduated from Miami-Dade College and hold several certificates in the tech field, so augmented and virtual reality, and CC and A+, among others. I'm also part of several work groups for learning resources, namely the video group and also the technology work group. The video group, I'm in charge of creating digital content that goes on our goes on our social media sites and things of that nature. I produce videos and flyers for the department. And I'm also known as the technologist here at Wilson Campus. I manage the multimedia study room inside the computer courtyard in Building 2, room 2201. So if you need help in anything with technology, you need help with a presentation, recording a video, you can come to me and I can help you record. We have state-of-the-art equipment and cameras. We have 360 cameras to help you shoot even better footage and more specialized footage to anything, any ideas you might have. Okay, so from now I'm going to load up a video showcasing the steps for the installing Adobe Photoshop. Okay, so this is all the way at the end. So this is going to showcase the steps to install Adobe Photoshop. And again, you can install Adobe Photoshop in any system. You can, if you have an Apple computer, Windows computer, it doesn't matter. You can install Adobe Photoshop on them. So the first thing we're going to do is you can visit google.com. And in google.com, you're going to go over to the search bar and you search for Adobe and click on the first result. Then you're going to click on the Adobe Photoshop official link, which is the Adobe official site, which is the same as Adobe.com. I mean, you can still skip those first few steps, but as part of a workflow, normally I open up a tab, I go directly to Google, and I just search what I normally want. So here we arrive at Adobe.com, and we're going to go over to the top right-hand corner and select the Sign In button. That will open up the Sign In window. Here, you will need to enter your MDC credentials, which is typically made out of your first name, last name, and a number at mymdc.net. So you're going to enter that information, and you're going to click Continue. So once you click Continue, you're going to be redirected to the MDC website, and again, you're going to have to enter your MDC credentials here, except in this part, you're going to also enter your password. So you're going to enter your username, which is your first name, last name, 001, or any other number that was assigned to you, and then your password. Please note that if at any point in the past two steps that you encounter an error, that might mean that you do not have access to the Adobe Creative Cloud, in which case you will need to contact Campus Network Services in order to fix that error and get access. I will give you the contact information at the end of the workshop so that you can reach them. I'm going to pass at the end of this video with my information and then the contact information for Campus Network Services. And typically, once they help you and they give you access, it takes anywhere from 24 to 48 hours for you to get access. And by the way, just in case you guys are concerned about the steps to this video, I'm going to give you the link the end of the workshop to this video so that you can revisit it. You bookmark the video, you revisit the video, and then you can follow the steps again to install Adobe Photoshop. Okay, so we're going to continue. Okay, it's on. So you enter your information and you're going to be clicking sign in. And this is going to take us back to the Adobecom website. And you're going to see on the top right hand corner there's a blue circle. If you click that, you can see that you can confirm that you have logged in successfully to your account. And then we're going to click on the icon right beside it, the square icon. And that's going to give us access to the Creative Cloud link. Remember that I mentioned that we need the Creative Cloud application in order to install Adobe Photoshop. So we're going to click on that link and it will take us to the applications page. Okay, so here you go. Like right away, you're going to see that the Creative Cloud download link is there. And I know that you guys see the Photoshop link here. I don't recommend going straight to this link because we need to install these first before we can even install this. And I've encountered issues but whenever I try to go directly to the download for Photoshop without installing the Creative Cloud. So we're going to follow that step first in installing the Creative Cloud. So we're going to just click on download. Now, depending on your system or your system configuration, uh, the download link is going to show up on different areas, right? Like if you're using Mozilla or the Microsoft application, the link is going to show up on the top right-hand corner. If you're using Chrome, the download link is going to come up on the bottom left. So once the download is finished, you're going to click on Open File, and then follow the instructions to install it. In some computer systems, you will be prompted to enter a password. I think mainly on Windows systems, it might ask you to just install as an administrator, right? And then you're going to get a little survey. The survey is optional. You don't have to fill it out, but you can just click on student if you want, or you can just skip the question. So as you can see here, the Creative Cloud has completed. So now that's installed, and now we can install Adobe Photoshop. As you can see, there's other applications listed here that you can install. But the one we're interested in is Adobe Photoshop. So we're going to click on the install button here. Actually, first we're going to verify that we're logged in, right? If you go to the top right-hand corner always, you can verify that your account is active. Then we're going to head on over to install Photoshop. Now, keep in mind this process. I know that you see the percentage just flying there, right? The video has been sped up. Now, this portion might take about 20 minutes. That's all depending on your computer, the speed of your computer, the speed of your network. In my computer, it took about 20 minutes, and actually, in some cases, it was hanging around 57% for like 5 minutes. So don't worry if it looks like the installation froze and it's not advancing. Just be patient. It will let it finish. It will finish. Okay, so just be patient. It might take 20 to 30 minutes depending on your computer. If you have a really good computer, then it's going to be much faster. Okay, so we get to this portion here. As you can see, now we have an install portion inside the Creative Cloud application. You can choose to restart or open Photoshop from here. You can open the Creative Cloud desktop application and you open here. But you can also go to your Windows program folder and open the application from there. So we're going to showcase here that it actually works when you click open, right? So if we click open, then magic. Adobe Photoshop is now working, right? Okay, so I'm not going to show nothing after this. This is where hosting is going to take over. I'm just going to briefly showcase this page again. As you can see, inside the Creative Cloud, you're allowed to install other applications. You see here uh, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Acrobat, Adobe Premiere, After Effects. So you can choose to install those applications if you have access to them and you need to use them, right? It will say here available in your plan. Okay, so let's head on to the last area here with my contact information. My name again is Johnny Molina. This is my email, jmolina@mdc.edu. That's my extension. You can leave me a voicemail. It goes directly to my email, so I always see it right away. And again, if you have trouble logging into the Adobecom website with your MDC credentials, you're going to want to call this number, 305-237-3232, and they will verify that you're an MDC student and give you access to the Adobe Creative Cloud and install whatever you need from there, namely Adobe Photoshop. So let me quickly showcase. Actually, I'm going to copy this link and put it in the chat. So in case you need to access this video to install Adobe Photoshop in the future, you can follow that whatever that link says. And for future purposes, if you go to and you go to YouTube.com and you search Miami-Dade College, you can find the Miami-Dade College YouTube channel here. And if you click that, and then you're going to click playlist, you're going to see that we have an NDC Learning Resources skill workshop. So all our workshops are going to be uploaded here. So in the future, this workshop will be uploaded here for you to view. You click on view playlist and you see we have a couple of them that have already been uploaded, and we're working on like 10 more videos to be uploaded. Hopefully they're approved soon and listed here. This workshop, we're going to try to get it up in here as soon as possible for you to see it. But for now, you also have access to this video to follow the step-by-step installation guide. So yeah, this is how you can get to the Learning Resources workshops, and I'm going to toss this over to Houston so he can continue the basic portion of this workshop. You ready, Houston?
Yes, I'm ready. Just give me a few seconds to share my screen.
Okay, thank you. Guys, do you have any questions before we switch over? If that is okay, you can ask at the end of the presentation as well. Okay. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Houston, when you get.
All right. So can everyone see my screen before I continue?
That's a yes on my part.
Okay. So before I actually get into Photoshop itself, just to piggyback off of what Johnny was just talking about. So, me myself, since I have the Adobe Creative Cloud installed, from that point forward, I'm able to go ahead and install those same apps, or at least the ones that I normally use myself. So, I have a Mac, so you're able to see the different apps that I primarily use. So down here, where you see my cursor, you'll see the application. I use 4 applications primarily. So you see Photoshop right here, which we're about to cover, in addition to Adobe Illustrator, Adobe InDesign, and Adobe Acrobat. So, and depending on the creative that you run into, or depending on just who it is, you might see different apps. You might see more or less installed, but those are the 4 that I use just based off of what I do. So gonna go back to Photoshop, and so now that you hypothetically install Photoshop, if you click on the thumbnail to launch it, then this is going to be the very first. Screen you see, just a dashboard and the different things you can do before you actually launch your canvas. And since you would have just installed it, because right here you see a variety of past projects here, but since you would have just installed Photoshop, you wouldn't see this long list right here. So in your case, since you would have just installed it, you want to start a new canvas or a new file, whatever word you want to use. So in this case, say we want to start a new file, just go over here to the top left where you see new file. And then click on, and for now, depending on the project that every project comes with its own size dimensions, because this is the screen where you would decide on the size of your canvas. And depending on the project you're working on, it might require different sizes. So for example, a book, say if you're creating a book cover, that might require you to require you to set your canvas to something like 4 inches by 6 inches. Or if you're creating a standard flyer that you might see hanging around Miami-Dade College's campus, then that might be 8.5 by 11 inches, like the standard printer size. But since we live in a really digital world, a lot of the flyers you're going to see aren't printed out as often. And most flyers you'll see will be found on probably Instagram or Facebook, or within your emails, or whatever the case may be. So for now, I'm just going to show you an example of how to set things up with the Instagram square size, the perfect square going all around. So In my case, I like to use 10 inches by 10 inches, and that is the perfect square. And in this on this right side is where you would set your dimensions and how you want things to come out once you click to create. So like I said, 10 inches in width by 10 inches in height with a resolution of 300. And then once you do that, all you have to do is just click the button in the bottom right here that says create, the blue button. And once you do that, just zoom in a little bit just so you have it full screen. And the way you zoom in is right here in it's very, very small, so I hope you can see it. But there's a percentage right here in the bottom left, and this is just your way of being able to adjust your view and how well you can see something. So when Photoshop launches, in most cases, it's going to start off with 33% magnified. But I like to see things like primed and up close and right in my face. So usually for 10 inches by 10 inches in particular, and it varies depending on the size of your canvas. For 10 inches by 10 inches, you want to have a 45% magnifying level, and this is where you would see your canvas full screen, full size, and you don't have to do too much zooming in. And because this is basic functions, I'm not going to cover too much of how to do anything crazy with Photoshop, but I will let you know just the very basics and the very basic tools that you need to know and where to go about finding just the different areas of Photoshop so that you don't feel like you're lost or you don't know where you're going. So first things first. First things first, you want to make sure that you're aware of what your toolbar is and where to find it. So right now it's not visible, but how do I bring that back? All you have to do is go right up here to a window at the top of your screen, and then you'll see the drop down menu. And right now you'll see anything that you see with a check mark next to it, that indicates the things that can be seen currently on the screen. So right here you see character, which is corresponding to this area. Layers right here is corresponding to this area over here. And properties is also corresponding to this area. So this is your way of deciding what you want to be seen within your Photoshop screen. So I want my toolbar to come back. So I'm going to scroll all the way down to where you see tools and click on that. So as you can see now in the top right, I mean not the top right, but on the left, going down the entire left side of the screen, you can see you have a toolbar here that allows you to do a variety of different things. And just for the purposes of knowing how to use the basic functions of Photoshop, I'm just going to cover the ones that you'll be using the most. So before I get into that, the layers, this is the layers panel, and this pretty much speaks for itself. So pretty much right now you only have one layer here, and obviously that's the background, but as you continue to add different elements into your Photoshop canvas, then this area right here is going to grow. So say if I wanted to add a shape. Say if I wanted to add a square in here. So I'm going to go down my toolbar and then scroll all the way to the bottom and then click on the rectangle tool. And click on that, and then I'm just going to click and drag on my canvas until I get a size that I want. And then as you can see, now that I've added a rectangle, that corresponded to my layers over here. And that added a new layer to my layers panel. So every time you do that, every time you add anything, whether it's something that you create within Photoshop itself or something you pull, like an image that you pull from the internet and you throw it into here, then that's going to correspond and be reflected within your layers panel. It's going to be layer on top of layer on top of layer. And if you want to delete this square, all you have to do is just click delete on your keyboard. But I'm going to leave it there for now just for you to see how layers work. And if you want to keep the square there, but you don't want it to be visible for now, you can just click the eyeball right here in your layers panel. So the layer is still there, but I can click to hide it or show it depending on just where I am in my project. But for now, we're going to just hide it. But at least you see how layers work. And then I'm going to back up and go to the top. The first tool, and this tool is also very self-explanatory, but it helps to know what it does, and it's the move tool. And this is the very first tool on any toolbar. And simple enough is just this tool allows you to move different objects from point A to point B on your canvas. And in order to know what you're moving or what you want to move, make sure you have that appropriate layer selected. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add a triangle. And how do you add a triangle? You just have to click on the shape tool here that we were just on, click it, and by default it's set to rectangle, but then go to triangle. And then now I'm going to just add a triangle by clicking and dragging that same way. I'm going to bring back my rectangle and say if, so right now, because of how the layers are set up, the triangle is on top of the rectangle. But say if I wanted to move the rectangle somewhere else, all I had to do is click on the layer that corresponds to the rectangle. I'm on my move tool now, and I'm just going to move the rectangle downward. So now I have a clear look at both. And the same thing applies to the triangle. If I wanted to move that somewhere else, I would click on that layer, move that somewhere else. So that's pretty straightforward about how the move tool works. And then we also have the eyedropper tool. And then this is if you want to grab a specific color on your canvas, but you don't want to guess. This is for if you don't want to guess what exact color, what exact shade of orange that you want to use, what exact shade of any colors you want to use. You want to grab that exact color. So say if, so this triangle, I'm going to make this a darker orange. And then I'm going to add a circle, and I'm going to make that a lighter orange. Now I'm going to add a polygon. But say if I wanted to experiment with making this polygon a variety of different colors. So with my polygon layer selected and having the eyedropper tool selected, I can experiment with grabbing the color of this circle. I can experiment with grabbing the color of this triangle, or I can experiment with grabbing the color of this square. Because if I didn't know what the eyedropper tool was, I would probably be in this area right here trying to guess what shade of color to use if I wanted to match one of those, but that's not necessary, not when you have the eyedropper tool selected. So the eyedropper tool is very, very necessary for if you're trying to stay consistent with the colors that you use. And this is especially helpful when you're on flyers. And then a couple of other quick tools. There's the paint bucket tool over here. And then this also speaks for itself. Say if I wanted this entire background color to be blue. So I would, on my layers panel, I would go back with my paint bucket tool selected. I will go back to my background layer, and I will go down here to the bottom left in the toolbar where you see the color palette. And I'm just going to pick a nice blue color. And then now I'm going to make, with the paint bucket tool, I'm going to make the entire background blue. And then the same applies the paintbrush tool. So that was the paint bucket. This is the paintbrush tool. This is if you want to change the color of a specific area or a specific type of area, but you don't want to do it to the entire background. So say if I just wanted to add a quick stroke of purple to this background, I will go back to my color palette, click a nice shade of purple, and then probably just right here, say if I just wanted to just do a quick scribble, I can do that. And then if I wanted to add text, and this is the last thing as far as basic functions, and say if I wanted to add text to this canvas, then I will go all the way down here to my text tool, and to identify that this is just a large type tool right here with a big T, and I will click anywhere I want. And this, at this point, I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with Microsoft Word, and it pretty much works the same. Once you click on the canvas with your type tool selected, then at that point, your attention now turns to your text. And say if I want the text to be bigger, you can actually go back to your move tool at the very top and then just click on the transform controls around your text layer and then just enlarge it. And and as you can see, my text tool is behind my circle and my triangle, but what if I wanted that to be on top of everything? I will go to the layers panel where you see the text tool is at the very bottom right on top of the blue ground, and I would just move that layer all the way to the top. So that's the first thing that's on top of everything. And I can't see it too well right now, but what if I wanted to change that color to something like white? then right here in the character tab, this is in this tab that says character. That's where you'll be making adjustments to things like text and whatnot. And the color here is purple, but I'm going to make that white just so it's a little bit more clear. And then just like Microsoft Word, just making sure your text tool is selected, the big T. Click on the text field, and then that way you're able to edit and do whatever you want with it. So that's the basic functions of Photoshop. Now, as far as how to do something a little bit more advanced and to really take it to the next level, that might be covered in a future workshop, but just for your basic understanding and having a foundation to work from, those are the basic functions of Photoshop, along with what Johnny showed you about installation.
Thank you, Halston. At this point, let's see if we can. If you have any questions on the chat, please. Anyone has any questions, please feel free to post them on the chat, and we'll do our best to answer them. I don't. Okay. In any case, please scan this barcode. Give us, a little information, what you feel about this workshop, the information, and so on. Please, before you leave, if you don't mind typing your student ID numbers on the chat as well, that would be greatly helpful for future presentations, etc. And again, like some of these, we can always help you if you come over to the computer courtyard in Wolfson campus on Building 2, room 2201. You ask for help on anything. Here we'll do our best to try to help you and make sure that you get the appropriate help if we cannot help. Okay, let me paste again the link to the YouTube channel. To the YouTube video with the steps to install Adobe Photoshop. And actually, you should be able to install any Creative Cloud application like After Effects and Adobe Premiere after viewing this video, after viewing the workshop actually. Let us know, let us know in the survey, what else do you guys want to see? We'll do our best to show you and to teach you the best skills for any presentations. If you guys want to shoot any videos, come over to the multimedia studio room in the computer courtyard. And here's my contact information. That's my email. Shoot me an email if you're not able to reach me by phone. Halston is also one of our tutors, writing tutors here on campus. So if you need help with writing tutors, we're here to help.